We're not even going to waste your time at the beginning of this episode.
Nope.
We're interviewing the Failureboys, and it is awesome.
Yep. And you want to say it?
Enjoy listening.
Oh, and we're going to just get right into it.
All right, there we go.
Here we are. Hey, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim.
And this is Danny.
And we are on today with Failureboys Productions. Again, we have Pete, Joe, and Chris Marcy, Adam Anderson. Chris is presently trying to come back on, so he'll pop in here when he connects. Hello to everybody.
Hello. Thanks for having us back.
Hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah, welcome. It's really good to have you back. I think we've talked to a couple of people more than once, but like, I was really excited to get you guys back because after we watched Firefly, I told Jim, I was like, we gotta get them. We gotta talk to them about this again.
Yep. And have I think 4 times I've rewatched Attack of the Taddy Bogle just because,
Wow.
well, you know, I'm one of those people. It's like, especially if I want something in the background and I want something I know and something that's good. And I kind of memorized all the beats to that film because we like it so much. So I can just kind of get with it. And I know when to stop and look up because, I love this one. And, I want to see this one kind of thing. So yeah, we had put in the notes that Firefly, Pete, I think you brought it to our attention. You sent out an email talking about this having been remastered in 5.1. And I remember when we talked last time that we couldn't find it out there. And so we jumped right on it. And, you know, as listeners, as you've listened to the episode, you know, we just loved it. There's so much I want to get into. You guys have this. It's weird because we're going backwards. So I'm going like from Attack of the Taddy Bogle back to Firefly. But it was like watching, literally watching an early work and seeing the very solid nuggets of how you guys do things, on how the pacing, the writing, the way the story moves. And then, you know, thinking ahead to Attack of the Taddy Bogle, seeing kind of like the maturation of these things. And it's like, it's not like it's a wild improvement. It's refined. There's a huge difference.
Right. It was good to begin with.
Yeah. You know, starting off strong. I guess what prompted a remix and what was involved with that? Because I don't know enough about editing to fully understand what kind of labor is involved with this. I can barely edit a short film, which I, do kind of poorly. So who would like to talk about rebirthing the sound?
I can do it. So it was pretty much just me in my basement, first. So I guess where to start. So when I kind of left my career a few years ago and had these movies that I had to finish up, I finished Attack of the Taddy Bogle because that was the one. Firefly had kind of we had finished it. It had its festival run starting in 2005. And then we shot 2 more movies after that had never been finished. And so Attack of the Taddy Bogle was kind of the next one, finished it. And then a romantic comedy called The Shingle Life was after that. I finished that. And Firefly was always just kind of sitting out there, finished in 2005, but finished at the level that we were capable of back then. So in the 15 years since, had become much more skillful in every aspect of finishing a movie, from sound to color grading, everything. And, it was mixed in stereo. It was standard definition, kind of way too dark in moments. So I had all these tools to upscale it, to, do the color correction, to clean up the sound, to mix it in surround. So when I got to Firefly finally, I realized that I basically had to assemble the movie again from scratch, because I had, disk space 15 years ago was a lot more expensive. And even with just mini DV footage digitized, we had maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 hours of footage, maybe not quite that much of Firefly shot. And now that's nothing. Mini DV footage, 20 hours worth, you could fit on a 500 gigabyte drive, no problem. But back then I had to kind of clean it up and compress the footage and get rid of all the footage I didn't use. And so what I had was versions of the movie that were, basically edited and completed and letterboxed, and the sound that was mixed and in stereo, but I didn't have the individual elements of the dialogue and the sound effects and the music all separated, not to the extent that I usually do for movies. And so I had to go back to my old projects, my old computer, and find out what I still had, and probably too boring to get into and complicated, but that was the most time consuming part of kind of remastering the movie, was basically just reassembling it. There were even sounds where the file was corrupted and I didn't have the original file anymore. And so I had to do a couple of exports and do a phase cancellation, which then isolated the one sound that was missing that I could then move onto a separate track for the surround mix and everything. So it was more technical than I thought it would be and more time consuming. But ultimately I got everything where it needed to be, where I had all of the sound effects, the dialogue, the music, the ambience, everything separated. And from there, I was able to just basically edit it again, and master the sound again, clean up the sound, and mix it in surround, which I had never done for the movie. So that, I'd say the sound was kind of the biggest thing with the movie. And then for the visuals, it was shot on mini DV. It was then letterboxed on top of that. So, not a lot of pixels that we're dealing with here for the definition. So this new software came out recently that is kind of an artificial intelligence upscaler, and tried it out, and it was just far better than anything I'd ever tried before. And so kind of went through like 6 different batch processes of that, upscaling it in various degrees, to finally get it to a point where it said, this is about as good as it can get. This can pass. And then color graded the footage. So the sound and the visuals, those each took a lot of time, a lot of attention. But then I also just kind of cut out about 5 minutes from the movie that, as I'm going through it and seeing little pauses here and there that didn't need to be there, I figured might as well save everyone a little 5 minutes of time as they're watching the movie, and tighten the movie up a little bit without getting rid of any scenes, without sacrificing the story at all. So the movie ended up being 99 minutes compared to the 104 minutes that it was back when it was in festivals. So, okay. But talking to people who have watched it, no one can tell the difference between the two. It's a situation where I think the movie feels untouched story wise. And then just had to kind of redo the end credits, and Joe did some additional drawings for the end credits because we had to kind of lengthen them a little bit, make them look a little bit more complete and professional. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if that's incredibly boring to listeners out there, but it was just a kind of a technical process, not too much of a creative one, although I guess that goes into every one of those elements.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is arguably creative. That does sound like a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was, and I wasn't, it took probably 4 or 5 months total. of time to do it. Maybe not working on that every single day, but as the primary thing I was working on to get all that done, and then also to create the artwork for the distribution and get it uploaded and all that. That's probably another week-long process to make sure all that is handled correctly and it's accepted on the streaming platforms.
Well, it looked and sounded great, and that's it. It was. We've talked about this in the past. Indie films at the time seemed to have the most trouble with sound, and not because of like a budget and bad equipment, bad editing or anything. We'd watch stuff, and we've had a couple films that looked really interesting, but we just couldn't watch it because you turn it up so much and you get the from the TV, and what comes out is not deafeningly loud, but it's just so thick and it's like over mixing. But then we found out over time that I think the streaming services have a real problem with quality control. I'm talking Netflix, Tubi, all of them. We've seen some brand new films that had the worst sound. It's not like we have some, we're not watching on a 1955 Zenith, trying to emulate all these sounds. But then we'll go back to it a week or two later and the sound will be better. I think that they have such corrupt conversions that they push out. I think their QA is just terrible in there. But Firefly sounded really good and clear. And we can't compare that to previously, but I will say the clarity brought us into the visual and the audio married itself like right in the middle of the room. So we felt like, I don't know, we just felt good watching this movie. By the end of it, it was like, God, this was, so many levels that we're going to touch on.
Go ahead. I'm glad to hear you say that. I can tell you that when we were showing Firefly in festivals, the people did not have that experience. I know when we premiered at Cinevegas, because the sound was so incredibly poorly mixed. The dynamic range, it was all over the place. So like a door shutting on a car would just burst everyone's eardrums. Okay. And then it was, I did the best I could back in the day, just mixing on my computer, kind of listening to sound in my earphones through the TV that I had the Firewire kind of linked through, and mixed it. Sounded good to me on my earbuds, and I tried to just like kind of peak all the levels, get the maximum amount of volume I could from every scene. Didn't really understand as much about consistency, and obviously there were not many, if any, loudness specifications that people had to mix to back then. And so when we premiered the movie at Cinevegas, we had a full theater world premiere, and it was just an absolute disastrous experience. The picture was so dark you could barely see it. The sound was crazy. It was loud. I think, was it only coming from one speaker, guys?
Yes.
Wasn't that it was only coming from one speaker?
One of the speakers was not working.
So I think some people just couldn't even stand to be in the theater. And I think maybe some of those corrections were made when we sent it to other festivals after that premiere, but still, just comparing the original stereo mix to the new one when I'm working on it, it's just crazy that that's what we had ever put out there. But kind of to your point about we were talking before the show started about you'd rather have a lower budget movie with a story than a polished movie that's 3.5 hours long and doesn't tell a good story. I think ultimately, even though the sound was rough and the picture was rough in the festival screenings, that I think people have a tolerance for it and they can adapt to whatever viewing environment they're in. And then ultimately, if they, get invested in the story, that stuff doesn't really matter that much. But it certainly helps people get into the story in the first place, I think.
It does. Yeah. Like I said, we've had to turn our backs on some things because it just couldn't happen. And we compare it to, there was this wonderful little zombie movie that we saw a long time ago. And it's from like 1992 or 3, but someone had an old VHS camcorder. And remember the one, it was on like the farm.
Are you talking about Zombie Dearest?
No, not Zombie Dearest.
Okay.
No. This was the one that prompted the earnest effort.
Oh,
The view that we took on things. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. And it was clearly just they had their VHS video camera, no sound equipment, nothing, and it was fun to watch. But ultimately, it was just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm missing whatever subtleties they might be working in here. It's just like literally watching a show on mute, and there's nothing you could do about it back then.
Maybe a little bit like Del in Firefly and his movies that he's making.
Right.
But let's talk about the story here. So the sound was great, but the story was even better. Our big question for all of you is, what germinated this story and how did you guys grow it into this excellent example of the web, all this
tapestry style.
Yeah, tendrils and threads of things just coming out there and giving us complete pictures and giving us, fulfilling through lines. And then all of a sudden, wham, coming together with such crystal clear cohesiveness at the end. There are, $100 million productions that don't do that. This was idyllic. I mean, we were just like, oh my, like I said, I can't explain it. We felt so good about what we watched and all the aspects of it. And we try not to sound like, movie snobs. Because we love us a good story, but we also love some good brainless Three Stooges like fun and everything in between. But this was, just gorgeous. It was a gorgeous work of writing, and that you captured on film is just another level of kudos. Where did this story begin, and how did it progress, grow?
So Chris, you can come in a little bit, but I know when I first started thinking of this idea, probably in college, everyone who goes to film school, well, most people want to write the next great screenplay. They think that's kind of the first step. If you want to become a filmmaker, a director, you have to have a screenplay. And so I was always trying to think of ideas for the next movie we were going to do. And I loved movies with a great twist at the end. But I also had seen a lot of movies at the time from directors like Robert Altman, where he has these stories like Shortcuts, where you have all these different characters and different storylines that are playing out in parallel, and they intersect in ways that the viewer gets to see, but the characters don't quite understand it. And I was just fascinated by those types of movies. And a movie that I think had a big impact on me was Magnolia. When I saw it in the theater, it opens with those vignettes that promise an incredible coincidence and saying basically these things happen all the time. And I love that movie. I was just drawn to the screen. It was just an incredible experience for me. But I was a little disappointed in the ending because I didn't feel like they delivered on the promise of the coincidences. I wanted all of these things to tie together in a way that was satisfying, that was as satisfying as the stories that they opened the movie with. And I feel like they didn't do that. And so I think I remember that always sticking with me when I was coming up with this movie and these ideas, and I had come up with an outline with different characters and scenes, and I had ideas of a guy who ultimately was Brandt, and then a woman who was running all the time, and something that he finds in the woods. And I didn't know where these were going. I just knew I wanted to tell this type of story. And I created this kind of outline for it, but I just didn't see it all yet. And then I was actually focusing on writing another movie that eventually became The Shingle Life, which was the third movie we did. And that didn't pan out at the time. And so then I remember I approached Chris and said, all right, well, there's this other idea that I'm kind of kicking around, and it wasn't called Firefly at the time. It wasn't called anything. And I kind of told him what I had, and I needed help with it. And then as I remember it, Chris, we were in the laundry room at our parents' house. And I kind of told you that, and then we just kind of hashed out the basics to finish that story together. And we kind of worked out not all the details, but we basically figured out how it was all going to come together and work out that night. Is that how you remember it?
Yes, I wish I remembered more specifics, but that was at least a 3 or 4 hour conversation, and you were pissed off. You were fired up, and so you gave me all that stuff, and then we came up with, I'm pretty sure, everything that happened Halloween night. So all of the stuff that gets revealed in the flashbacks, we figured that out that first night. I'm almost sure of it, because I know that I guess we should say now, have we said spoilers for anybody listening?
We spoil every episode. We spoil the movie, so bring it out.
Yes. So all of the big twists, Pete and I, we made those connections, and we were super excited about it. And I think we came up with most of the names, but yes.
Yep. And
a lot of it. We didn't have the ending figured out, but
we didn't have the ending, and we didn't have much of what the bulk of the film is in, like, basically the days leading up to Christmas, which, if the movie feels a little bit slow during that period of time, if people might lose interest a little bit, that's probably because on a certain level, we're just kind of like waiting to get to all of the things that we were really excited about in the flashbacks.
Yeah, so Pete was tasked with writing Brant's scenes.
Yep.
Both Pete and I worked on Arnie's.
And then you were,
And then I focused on Dell's scenes, and then Susan's scenes.
Yeah.
And Susan had a lot of stuff that was cut from the film for a couple of reasons. I guess pacing's one of the reasons. But so we kind of went back and forth and refined it. So it was definitely half and half a screenplay from both of us, trying to push things back and forth. So, like, we had this ending and we had the twist, but we didn't have, like, who Arnie saves exactly and why, but we knew he was going to be saving people. Right. So we had maybe, like, there was like a 3-draft development of what if he does this, what if he does that.
You know, it's funny. I actually have my Firefly production journal, and I've got all these notes still. And it says basically, Arnie drives along the road in his beater and searches for a particular house, checks and sees that the house has a feature that stands out, maybe a Santa Claus or a wreath or something. So that's obviously the scene that became the reindeer lift scene. And it's just kind of funny looking at these notes and seeing how similar most of them are to the end product. But there are also things that we veered away from, specifically the ending of the movie, and like what Dell and Arnie do at the very end to save people. That we had very different ideas at some point about those moments.
Okay. I one thing I like about this movie and Attack of the Tatty Bogle, what they have in common is all of you guys, there's not more than is needed. And I know that ultimately relies on editing, but it has to also start with, the writing. If it's a work that's suffering from wanderlust, there's no way you can edit that tight enough to make a cohesive, tight story. But I don't know that people would get. Well, I mean, people are different. I'm sure someone would, and everyone has their own thing.
Well, it was called A Laundry List of Nonsense at Cinevegas by one reviewer. So
you could put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, but to be fair, he was at a terrible screening, and the movie at its world premiere was 115 minutes long. So it's 20 more minutes that have been cut out of the movie since its premiere, and the guy was probably a moron. So,
well,
I'm just kidding.
Gene Shalit said Star Wars sucked. Several people told Stephen King to give it up and, go take a job at the factory in town because he's not going to do it. As long as everyone has something to say.
Yeah. I will say, but if you've only premiered your movies in your parents' living room to then premiere one at a pretty big festival and have someone call your movie a laundry list of nonsense, it's not easy to take, even though he was probably right on some level because we did cut out 20 minutes, but
Yeah, Pete disappeared for a while. He walked around. No one knew where he was. I think.
Yeah,
he was having a hard time.
Here's the thing, though. I would say this movie was ahead of its time because one thing we've noticed about films that have gotten not great reviews at a festival, they don't fit what was popular with the audiences, what their expectations were of films at screenings. Every few years there's that kind of movie that plays, and the big studios go after it, indie makers, filmmakers go after it, audiences are kind of expecting it, and for the unlucky one who brings out something new and different, they usually don't have a good ride because of it, because the audience is like, oh, wait a minute, nope, couldn't even register that. This was terrible. This wasn't what I was looking for. But I think for 2005, thinking back, this is a thinker. And I don't think thinkers were popular films.
Well, that's the real reason I waited so long to release it. I needed the world to be ready for it.
Yeah.
It's just what. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a different kind of movie. And I think it at the time it was even more so, kind of an experience that not many people had in the theater. I think there are more and more movies like it. Maybe not in the, the specific plot and the storytelling, the way it plays out, but just more supernatural, a little bit weird sci-fi elements. I think that's a lot more common now in storytelling than it was at the time.
Absolutely. Back then, anything sci-fi had to be big, had to be the next Star Wars. If you wanted to ground it in pseudo reality, Terminator, so they could relate to it, and that's kind of the way it is now. Now they don't want the big stuff. Everyone who wants sci-fi, they're shopping for scripts that have some sort of like this show, some angle to it, but otherwise it's, just day-to-day life. Don't have to get fancy beepy boopy things, no green screens, none of the stuff, because they want to do it on the cheap. That's kind of the trend now we found. But the thing about this, when you said, that whole laundry list of, one of the things I like about it myself, I was so engrossed with every chapter of these characters. I could feel there was a purpose. It's not like I was excusing anything. It's part, each of these scenes is drama, what's going on, and it's the buildup, and I'm paying attention. And, the whole thing that we were trying to figure out is, okay, so is the guy the asshole or is it the woman?
Who with Brant and Rachel?
Yeah. Who in this couple is the problem? And then, well, here's the thing. Their each individual arcs brought it. I mean, okay, we know what she did at the Halloween party, and we know how that's going to have an effect on him, plus everything else that happened. But it's just kind of that thing of, it's the whole fence thing. What side of the fence are you standing on? Who's in the wrong? I mean, was he just not right for her and she not right for him? And that happens. It just, ultimately though, I couldn't forgive her.
Yeah. Well, understandably.
Brent was like, dude, man, now that I know the full story, poor man. Let's buy this guy a cream soda or something.
Well, and I would say everything after Halloween, you can forgive Brant the way he's acting, because you could explain that on some level, subconsciously, he knows this isn't right. Something's wrong with this relationship. So he's But who knows how he was leading up to that? It seems to me like it's not a very good relationship from the beginning. But I don't know, Adam, you said when you saw it recently that one of the things you noticed more so this time was like the dark side of Brant.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I just thought Brant was a great character. And, watching it so far removed from it, I was like, he's kind of, he's a little smothering and he's not trusting. And it does turn out to be for good reason. But it's like, yeah, he's really, he's super paranoid and it's not appealing. He's not really appealing as a character as you're going through it.
Yes.
Well, yeah. What I noticed is that you're not even really sure when he hears the audio tape that Rachel cheated on him. It's not necessarily true,
Right.
So
could have been before.
You don't know until you get the flashback.
Yep.
Right.
Or they could be just that could be how they joke with each other on the phone, and he hears it. And it's funny. I don't know who if it was Chris or Adam maybe, but I was talking to him and rewatching it recently. I kind of agree with Adam that when I was I was younger when we finished it, so I just and I wasn't really attached to the writing process. So I, like Adam, just thought, well, Brant's kind of our main character; he's the good guy. But this time watching it, I thought he's very irritable at the party. He's very standoffish with a guy who he doesn't really know before anything happens. Then he's like prone to violence and a liar, and he sets traps for his girlfriend. He gets pressured into buying, a more expensive ring. He's a mess.
Yeah.
Not to mention nothing at the Christmas party where just that's so. Watching it this time, I thought, okay, yeah, he's the one who's kind of unhinged.
Well, we were really. We started shooting in like 2002, right? So we were young.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know. Someone said in a review that we had no life experience. Didn't that kind of sting? Was that the comment?
Did they say that?
That's just something we thought.
They're totally wrong.
I thought it was in one of the reviews, but it's like,
They probably did. We had an idea back in the day to release like ads, like commercials back when TV was still a thing, to like put a TV commercial out there with Firefly and put up a mixture of all the great quotes and the bad quotes. I've never seen that, with it. Just be honest about the reviews it's getting, like this is a fantastic sci-fi. This is a laundry list of nonsense, go see this, just confuse people. But I'm sure someone said at some point we have no life experience.
The ending redeems it somewhat. Enough to recommend it. Remember that one.
Right. The ending redeems it somewhat, but not enough to wholeheartedly recommend it. Put that quote there.
Yeah,
I think it was Eric D. Childress. That was the first review. And he gave it 3 out of 5, but it was devastating because my parents always thought my movies were great.
Yeah.
Well, they had good
and
taste.
then to hear people say that they didn't think they were the best thing they'd ever seen, that's tough to take.
Also, no life experience. I was a sophomore in college, so they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. I had to come home on the weekends to help shoot. So with respect to that guy in Las Vegas, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'd seen some stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I want to say these are the kind of quotes that you guys put on T-shirts that you like sell on your merch store, and I have to say, so our podcast, like, it's so hard to get ratings and reviews, but I've been waiting for ratings and reviews to come in. Like, I kind of want a bad review so that I can take whatever they say and be like, this is what someone said about our podcast.
Something's better than nothing.
It's just a bunch of garbage.
So many people can't be bothered.
That's what they say. They say engagement and comments are good.
I want to go back to the life experience thing. It comes down to one of two things. Either you guys had the necessary experience to pull off the storylines that you did, or you lucked out. Either way, I'll take it. There was some profound moments in this film. Watching it, like I said, right away, Brant, is he on the good side or the bad side? Does he have something going because his first interaction with that guy at the party, at the Halloween party, it's like, whoa, dial it back, dude. Then you have something. Well, has he come pre-soaked to this party? How many drinks has he had before he coming up to this guy? Who knows? But but then as everything unfolds. But one of the things, I think his journey, to me, it was a guy who clearly did not have the emotional maturity of his age, and was dealing with some weird situations that we weren't privy to in complete, disclosure, which made him interesting. But the simple line, run, every time that was said, and character's name, was it Susan?
Susan.
No, Susan. Yep.
Yeah. Susan. I called her Cat the whole time.
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah, we were. So
Cat would have been better.
Yeah, that works.
But Susan, it right away made me immediately think she's waking up saying the one thing she like feels she should have done, or whatever, like survived through that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that run around and have Brant be the one that put that in her head, run, that same, oh my God. I mean, this movie was like only a step and a half short of making me like really emotional at some of these things, because these were hard hitting points that I think a lot of people try to make the primary point of movies today and dramatically miss the mark. So whoever said you guys didn't have life experience, you could just throw that in their face and say, oh yeah, look how spot on we were with these things. Everybody's attitudes, everybody's focus on things seemed to be much more than just a simple trope. We have an asshole. We have his girlfriend / fiance. We have a victim. We have a dreamer, an outsider. That's not enough. These people had like full 3D, full dimensional lives and things that came through as this film progressed. So I just want to get that out there, because I think that was, I don't know how anyone could watch that and not be impacted by just that whole run situation. Then they don't know what movies are about.
I do like that moment. Yeah. That's one of my top moments.
I was telling Pete, recently, didn't I mention to you that was the one moment revisiting it that gave me like actual goosebumps? I mean, there are other cool moments, but it was like, that was the
kind of the climax in a way of the movie. I mean, I've always kind of looked at Brant's flashback as the peak, the emotional peak of the movie, even though there's more to come. And in that flashback, that's probably, that's probably my favorite moment.
Yeah. I think we said in the episode, one of the things about Brant with that whole thing was, regardless of his mature or immature actions, at the fact that
regardless of his otherwise problematic,
his
behavior,
his personality traits notwithstanding, this is a guy who ran into the fire. He heard a scream. He ran towards it. He saw what was happening and he intervened. I mean, that is a huge thing in the story. And that's kind of what, just like, Brant, everything is forgiven, my friend.
That's it. Right. Do the right thing,
if you're a bit of a dick,
at the core.
But down low, or deep down.
Down low.
Yeah. Deep down.
I don't know what that means.
He's the kind of guy you want to have in your life, as a friend or someone nearby. Because, the reality is, if anyone has life experience, they know we just don't get a lot of that today. We don't get a lot of people who run into the fire, who run towards the screens. So I don't know. That was another thing.
As opposed to Dell, who's kind of a horrible person.
Right.
Whose flashback actions reveal a
very dark,
very questionable set of ethics.
Now,
one step toward him and he will run you over. No questions asked.
Well, that was probably a good point to point out that the Dell character was basically my addition to Pete's initial idea, because I personally have a recurring dream where I've killed someone and I bury them. In fact, I had it again recently. It's you were talking in the episode, Jim, about your monkey dream, where you can't get him to. It's a recurring. You can't get the monkey to do what you want. This is honestly a recurring dream, and so that was my idea. I thought about adding scenes where Dell was really dealing with this guilt and even researching repressed memories, but that makes for a kind of a boring story. So we kind of abandoned a lot of that stuff, and we stuck more with I know you caught this, but all of his clumsiness. We were maybe going to tie in his clumsiness to the climax of the movie somehow, through slipping on the ice or something. He manages to knock over and we had a bunch of different ideas for the end of the movie, but Dell's whole guilt about killing someone, I don't know. I mean, people like Dell's scenes. It's hard for me to like them because I'm in it. I just don't really, I can't get into it too much. I mean, I like the scene where I smashed the Phantom Menace poster, I guess, but I don't, I don't know how people should feel about Dell, I guess.
I mean, I think we identified with him, as a character. What I saw anyway was, here's a guy who clearly has a dream in his head. He wants to make these movies, and this is what he does, and he wants to do this, and then at some point have it come out and, mushroom and become bigger, and, to have people laud him, and, who knows where his true end goal, was going to be.
As Danny said, he is a bad director. I laughed when she said that, because he is.
I think his I've always been really uncomfortable watching the scenes with his two, I guess, friends who are younger than him and are in high school. That I was one of them. But I think I like Dell because I think anybody who considers themselves creative has these big ambitions and these visions of action sequences and, just these grand story ideas that they think are their Harry Potter, their Spielberg movie. And I used to worry that an audience would be bored when it's just a shot of Dell's face and he's kind of looking unsatisfied across the frozen lake. But I think there's something, maybe I'm searching too much, but there is something a little bit profound about him, or it seems like he's realizing that this ambition, this vision that he had, is not what he's going to end up with. And so by the end of the movie, he just wants something. If he's not going to be a real director, or a big director, at least he wants to make something honest.
Right.
Which is kind of, I think, ultimately a philosophy that we would all really agree with. So he's also awkward, but I think he's pretty sympathetic as a spirit in the movie.
Yeah.
Is he the most interesting character in the movie? Is that it? I don't know.
Most interesting actor, definitely.
Yeah.
Phenomenal actor.
Well, I agree with that a lot. Joe, what you were going to. I think there is a moment in any person who wants to do something creative, or who considers themselves, an artist or a creative of some kind, is when you're younger, you have these really big dreams, and you're like, oh, I'm going to accomplish all this stuff, and then there inevitably kind of comes a point where you have to reconcile what you are currently capable of with what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be happy with what you're able to do currently.
Well, and the whole point of this podcast is to encourage creatives, whatever you're doing in the process, get out there and do it. And, do the best you can, learn the most you can, get the experience, just as long as you love what you're doing, just keep doing it. Don't let someone tell you can't. But on the flip side of that, you need to mature to the point where you can look at yourself and see your limitations. There are, I'd love to do all kinds of things with the movie making process, but I know I can't direct. I know my editing is, it's not what I'm cut out for. I don't know what else I suck at, but I know what I'm good at too. Mm. But I think that's it with Del is I think what makes him a bad director is not lack of technique, but the inability to hear anything coming at him. Like, how about maybe this? Or, like you pointed out, he got all pissy because they're like, well, what are we supposed to be doing? And he's just like, rah, 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 rah. You're supposed to know. And
I think my favorite Del directing moment is when he's just there having a conversation and he says, "No, guys, okay, ready? Action." just, and then they're just confused, this moment of silence, and they're just like the Captain Kralis. No, what? Just, and I, have to confess, I mean, sometimes our sets can be a little like that, because it's time's ticking and you gotta get a bunch of scenes done. You gotta get a bunch of shots done. And you think like just everyone's on the same page or like, all right, I obviously want to do this next shot here and we'll take it from here, but I didn't ever say that, but I'm just saying, okay, let's go. Guys, let's go. All right, come on from there. Yeah. Wait. And then you just, that the frustration builds. And so I think that I relate to that moment with Del there and his just terrible communication.
While we're on Del, before we move on, I have to ask this. So when he loses his shit and starts clearing out his room, who did those wonderful collectibles belong to? And who among you is responsible for allowing such abhorrent treatment of these wonderful, wonderful icons of history?
They were all mine, with the exception of some of those posters were Adam's. We didn't rip the cool post. Like I think we tore down the Wraith because who cares about the Wraith? But some of them we kind of like gently unhooked. I think.
Right.
But not only with them, Jim, I stole most of those toys in the garage sale, like maybe 10 years ago. So most of those are gone. Yeah, so I still have some of them, but yeah.
I was geeking out.
To that.
Oh yeah.
To that. Why leave the Han Solo picture and no other pictures?
Why did we do that?
Del grew up in that moment. Del throughout the movie just accepts everything. There's no judgment. He just thinks if it's sci-fi, it's good. Even though he has that conversation with the women at the party at the beginning, and he basically says, he wants to make a real movie, but if you look at his room and you look at the kinds of movies he tries to make and watch him smiling at the opening movie that is showing at the Halloween party, which is just awful. I mean, Del doesn't have good judgment. He doesn't have any judgment about what is good sci-fi and what is bad sci-fi. But then in that moment, when he tears down the posters in his room and throws his toys away, there's a, little bit of judgment there about what is worthy of keeping up on his walls and what isn't.
Doesn't he keep a Metallica poster up too? Yeah, Metallica and Han Solo, and I think is
and Lando.
And Lando.
Yep, yeah. And Lando.
And Luke is still there too. If you see,
and I think
the original trilogy.
And Metallica.
I think it's all the Jedi pinup portraits or something like that.
Darth Vader stay on the door too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent.
We were brilliant. We were.
Yeah,
brilliant
I think.
there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When I watch the Del directing scenes, I think he's a bad director because he doesn't know how to say what he wants. He's not either. Maybe he thinks his vision is enough, but not everybody's inside of his head, and then
he can't communicate his vision, right?
And because he doesn't know what's good, he doesn't know what he believes in or something. But like he's hoping and pointing the camera, and hoping he gets what he was hoping, what he envisioned.
Well, isn't direction by osmosis the way to go? Just sort of project it out there. Everyone will pick up on it.
Everyone just absorbs it.
I mean, Pete, isn't that what you do?
Well, ultimately, that's
that's
with his camera,
that's what I was saying.
Ultimately.
It's sometimes it feels that way until you, because a film set is stressful, and sometimes if I could see myself after the fact, how I communicated something, I'd probably be really embarrassed by what I didn't explain in something. And it might end up in, we do a few more takes because I didn't just explain the thing that I wanted to have happen. Or maybe I just know it's also sometimes true that I just know that what I don't want, and I don't necessarily know what I want. But I mean, I think Del doesn't communicate anything. I think he does try
and he
to
only
direct
kind of knows what he wants.
And
Who decided to send our friendly neighborhood psychic on a belly burner ride behind that vehicle? When we saw that, I was like, wow.
I think it was Pete, and that was one of those scenes where the original version was he was going to go to a park and a kid was going to get abducted in a park, which probably would have been a lot more difficult to film and just kind of harrowing to watch, like this screaming kid. And at some point, I think Pete thought of, what if obviously it's in winter, so what if he tries to stop the car? I think that was Pete's idea. But Devin, who played Arnie, Jim, you commented on the guts he had. He was a wrestler. He wrestled with us through high school. He's been a martial artist for
Chris, you're cutting out.
Oh, Chris froze.
We'll never get the answer.
Maybe he's just thinking how long he was a martial artist.
Not so much these days.
Wait, Chris, you cut out. So. Chris, can you hear?
Yeah.
You cut out.
Yeah.
You basically said he was a wrestler, he was a martial artist and then you cut out.
And then
you hear me now?
The frame looked up into the corner like you were just thinking about that for a while.
Very thoughtful, yeah.
Okay. So how long was he a martial artist for, Chris? We are waiting to know.
He was a martial artist for a long time.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
That's what we waited for.
Sorry.
I also think I'm just realizing every feature that has been shot, one of us has to get stabbed or his hand cut or dragged behind a truck. We do kind of enjoy putting some stunts into movies. So
now I'm not gonna
he also
lie.
did the pool jump.
There's the pool jump.
Yeah.
But it made me think about our talk about Attack of the Teddy Bogle, about how there was a discussion on, maybe we should have talked to people about having them jump through doors and do all this stuff. And so when we saw that belly burn on the ice, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even as, I think back to as a kid, we would, at school, we had a roundabout where the buses would come and pick kids up. So in the wintertime, we would make it a point to wear slippery soled winter boots. So when the buses were pulling out, we could, skeech behind it, grab the bumper and get, go for a little ride for about 10 feet. And then you have to let go because if you go too far, someone will see you. And then that's it. Detention.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. That was not a slow burn that was going on in that shot at all.
Watching this again, working on it again, I was just amazed by Devin. He's in just little moments too. I mean, running the scene where he lifts the reindeer, running along the driveway, basically. I mean, it was super icy there. That's a situation where I could see another actor just basically saying, I can only do this half speed. I can't. I'm going to trip and fall. Devin just went all out. He's like having a stunt man, that you don't have to, put makeup on and kind of hide the features of. I mean, he was incredible with the pool jumping onto the trailer hitch. And he did that. I think he only did the drag behind the trailer once, but he jumped onto to catch the trailer hitch like 4 times, maybe. Okay. He even just, we buried him, underground and put a tube so he could breathe. And then when we're ready for the shot, okay, Devin, hold your breath. And then we'd pull the tube out of the ground and then start rolling. And, he could hear us. He wasn't that deep underground, but we put him through a lot and he did not complain. The only thing he ever said, he didn't complain. He just said, we should get these last shots done soon because I have a family gathering for the 4th of July and I don't want to get a tan because then I won't look the same in the movie, because we were shooting the indoor scenes into July the following year. So Anyway, he was amazing.
Well, his quickness, that character, it just tickled me. He was just like in and out. That whole thing when he ran from the deer up to the house, through the house, in, lifted the car up, and then shoo, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He's just out. And I know in the episode we talked about how I was laughing, and Danny's like, "What did I miss?" I'm like,
yeah, it was very quick. I looked down for a second. I didn't know what happened.
You didn't miss anything.
It's weird too. The shot of when he lifts the deer. It reminds me, I watched it recently again. He kind of has this Buster Keaton energy, like a very good physical presence.
Yes.
He has good timing and good silhouette and posing. And I don't know if that's martial arts or what, but there are little things to that scene, or when he's sprinting, he kind of even has like good cinematically pleasing form. And then he just adds a little, I don't know if you notice this, but he's running in boots, which are meant to look clunky, not functional.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs and then slides on an ice patch before he then lands and opens the garage door. So it's funny what kind of character he feels like, because once you find out what he's doing, it's weird that he has this like theatrical flair to how he's going through these rescue sequences, and then he's off stage.
Yeah. Well, we were talking briefly a little bit earlier about, the most interesting character in the movie. And I'm sorry, Chris, but I think that Arnie is the most interesting character.
Yep.
I agree with you.
And a lot of that is because we don't know what drives him, for pretty much the whole movie. But he is a fantastic physical actor, and he does most of his acting throughout the movie with his whole body.
His expressions when he gets into the secure door for the apartment.
Yes. And the guys.
And they're like giving him shit. His just response looking at them. I loved it so much. I was just like, I love this fucking guy. Look at him.
That's one of my favorite moments. I can watch that over and over.
He blinks in that shot, but Pete, do I remember, did you give him some instruction about to try not to blink in certain scenes?
Yeah,
or am I wrong?
think we tried that at some point, but I don't think it was something that we ever like checked.
Right.
I want to add that, back to Chris. Chris is also a very good physical actor.
There you go.
The donut
just falling off the roof.
Yep. We bounced him off a trampoline.
Yeah, we built a trampoline. We took my parents' trampoline and drove it over to Adam's parents' house, and then rebuilt it there, and where they had a better kind of angled lower roof for him to fall off of. And then he set the camera up, and he fell off and landed on the trampoline.
Nice.
There's a couple takes.
Gutsy.
Yeah, that donut spill. And we talked about it in the episode. Anybody who lives here in the Midwest knows because we have all done it. I've lived that donut spill. You could just be standing, not moving, and whether it's the hand of God or the gods of the Midwest, they come sweeping in and they're like, "Thou shalt lay," and down you go.
Yep.
Oh man! And
another probably 6 takes of that too. Yeah. It was,
oh my God!
Pick the best one.
Yeah, I crushed donuts in one take.
Oh no!
I just fell on top of them. The take we use is when they slide away. Right? Yeah.
I think one thing I like is I remember that I just feel like there are a few choices like that maybe changed from script to final product, where something that would look good or make sense within the world of the movie, but ultimately years later would feel just a little bit precious. Some of those were avoided, like crushing the donuts would have been more funny as a joke, but it's not more realistic. It's not in a weird way. It's more like comedic than the donuts just flying off the ice, which is just how real bad days feel.
Yes.
It's what would actually happen. So I don't know. I kind of enjoyed those scenes where people look uncomfortable and just
Jim and Danny, when he fell off the roof, be honest, did part of you think, what the hell did we just watch? Like, did he just die? Like, did you get that it was a joke? Or
I was a little concerned very briefly that he might have died. I
Okay.
was like, oh God, okay.
I wasn't concerned that he died. My immediate thought was, oh, is he going to end up, in like a half body cast, or, I thought, this poor guy, shit, what's his end result? Cause I was starting to spiral off into things that, now he's not going to be able to move. So shit's going to happen to him, or, he's going to try and get out on the ice and film, and he's going to be stuck like a, plaster scarecrow, as his actors are like, fuck you, man.
Or some sort of rear window ending where you see something on the video but can't walk, and he has to race to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but what kind of clued us into the joke was that before that had happened, he almost slingshotted himself off the roof, where he had like nailed that bit of cloth, I think it was, and he was trying to rip it out, and that was what made him fall off the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you guys didn't like continue with he's, there's his body at the bottom of the house or whatever. We're like, oh, okay. He's
so
fine.
Much for Dell.
He's probably fine.
It is a weird cut because there's just a quarter of an additional second before he lands that you're expecting the sound that would make the difference between he might have twisted his ankle to like, did he break his back? Is it where you can
I think it was when we were timing the crush, it was just that little shift in the audio to the right a little bit just made me laugh a little harder. It just made us laugh a little harder. We're like, well, let's go with that.
And like, I don't say ow or anything.
There's no box breaking.
No moan. Yeah. I always wanted
shrubbery.
I always wanted to hold on the roof and then have Barry a few seconds later peek his head over. Then cut.
It's funny. You mentioned Buster Keaton, and that's what it reminded me of. And Harold Lloyd. Those are my two favorites. The sad sack silent comedy stars, we're watching Dell, the donut thing. He just seems to have these little moments, and it's not a big played out thing. It's just like one, here's another thing. Here's another thing. Yeah. He's having a bad day. Jeez, this poor guy. Boom. Here's another thing. And it had that, I don't know, that fun feeling to it. Cause that's how, especially like with Harold Lloyd, it's not a big play up to everything. He just goes through his day, and then, it's a pratfall, and it's a thing happen, or something hits him in the head, knocks him out. And it's just like, boom, boom, boom. And you're just like, oh, this poor guy.
Yeah. And he's the direct opposite of Arnie. And so it's funny how the opposites pair up at the end. I've never really made that direct connection, but like Arnie literally dances through danger, and Dell can't buy a box of donuts without, breaking his face.
No, Arnie's
and then
in
Brant
and out.
Susan.
Yeah, he's in and out and across the screen, and he's shoom, 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 shoom. And then, Dell, he can't stay on the fucking screen in one position. Thump, and then out. And, even when he's out directing, it's these simple tasks that he just can't get done.
Chris, you and I tell me if I'm making this up or not, but we kind of talked about Dell being in purgatory, basically, right? For what he did on Halloween, and how, we talked about his clumsiness, but also why are these things happening to Dell? Why is he so clumsy? Why is he having all these accidents? And I remember talking about it's something in it, subconsciously he's, I don't know, punishing himself or for what he did on Halloween. But I would never expect anyone to take that away from the movie. Like, all those little seemingly, the list of nonsense, those scenes are probably what the person would be referring to. Like, they don't move the story forward. They're not needed, but they were hard to cut because, I don't know, they were funny.
I think they helped shape Dell.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk a lot about things moving things forward, there's a lot of things out there that happen in movies where nothing's going on and there's no payoff from it. There isn't any part of this personally that I don't think was connected in any of the through lines. Everything seemed to have its purpose. That's why I was saying it was easy to sit back and watch, because this instinct of this is going to mean something. And it doesn't have to be revelatory. It doesn't have to be the next level in the plot. For Dell, these were things that would kind of help me better shape the character. And that's as much, forward movement as anything else, in my opinion. Where I could get this, that I get he's a dreamer, but I can also see his shortcomings, and the dude's not, he doesn't have the best day like the rest of us. There's always some little thing. Those things got to add up too. I mean, how many times can you fall off a roof, drop your donuts, before you just start kind of getting humglum? Like,
But you mentioned limitations earlier, and what you're asking about, like this exploration of the demons that Dell is dealing with. I think that Pete and I both just kind of figured we're not really capable of writing a script that explores that in an entertaining way, so why bother? I think that's just kind of, so the ideas got expressed, but I didn't know how to turn that into a scheme that mattered. So yeah.
Well, I think there's probably always a lot of that goes on in the writing of any story, is that you think about these themes that you want to include, and you think through all these characters, backstories and stuff. And there's a lot, I know, when you're writing a story that doesn't actually make it into the story that is told, right, in words, or even the story that is told visually, but you have it in your head. And if a little bit of it makes it on and someone goes, oh, hey, you know what? There's a theme that was, kind of touched on, then you can be like, yeah, I totally put that in there. I meant to do that.
I have a question for you, for maybe this is jumping a gun of some sort, but do you think in any way that too many things are tied together? Maybe this is a question for the room and watching it recently. Like you said, you liked how everything is tied together. Was any part of you thinking like, well, even that ties together? I don't know. Did it all feel like, did it pull you out of it at all? Did you, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think with us. No, I like I said, I think that was one of the refreshing things. Seldom is anything not just tidy. I mean, that's what they go for, is tidy. This wasn't just tidy. This was, precision interlocking of these final pieces coming together. And it just felt so smooth. And then when you're like, oh, okay, now I feel like I'm, in some sort of high level thriller or suspense, because I'm like, what's the next one? What's the next one? Because I know we're not done. And, there it is,
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's reminds me of what Pete said earlier with Brent's flashback being kind of the climax. Is that's when it feels like, okay, now I'm in and I feel rewarded if I've been paying attention, and I know that the rest of this is going to be all, maybe not all payoff, but yeah. Is that what you mean? Like there's more? I'm realizing there's going to be more that we're going to find out.
Well, I know there's going to be more that we're going to find out, and I'm anxious to find out what it was. But what made this special for me, this is one of the few movies I didn't sit there trying to figure it out. I wasn't trying to guess. Oh, if that's that, then this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I was like numb. I was so absorbed in the ride. I just wanted it to be presented to me. I didn't want to try and figure it out. I don't know.
So when you guys were watching it, did you spend any time wondering who the guys in the masks were? Are you saying that wasn't something you were thinking about?
I wasn't wondering who they were.
Okay.
I heard you say, maybe, Jim, you said you thought it might be aliens early on.
In the beginning, yeah, because, in the beginning when we start movies,
we actually wondered that at some point. I feel it was Adam. I don't know. It might have been everyone talking about this, and we wondered if people would think they are aliens at some point.
Well, I think it was just because of the log line. As a group of people have a close encounter and experience different things. So immediately I thought, oh, well, here's these guys in the masks.
And none of them will take their masks off.
Yeah, and that they're at this party, and I'm like, oh, are they actually masked, or but these, is this how the aliens look, kind of thing,
right?
I mean, and that's fun to do, but then I don't know. It's the story was so good that it was tough to take notes. This is one of the he might go off.
Oh no,
he's sorry.
Do I take him off?
We have those Sphero droids. And occasionally, for no reason, one will come to life and wake the other one up, and
they start talking to each other.
Scares the shit out of me every time it happens up in here. I'll beep, 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 beep. Jesus Christ.
He's awake now.
Yeah. But anyway, this is when we had to stop a few times to kind of, we're supposed to be taking notes. There you go.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the droid.
Because we just kind of.
That's interesting to hear that.
Yeah, we just watched it, and we can't just watch it. We're supposed to be watching and typing at the same time. But yeah, and we realize there's no clickety clack. Okay, so let's read about what just happened and catch up, and then hit play again.
Well, I think going into a movie like this, you kind of know at the outset that at the end. So there's in a book that I read and I reread a lot, there's a phrase in the book where a character mentions when you see stuff that is kind of meant to be, it's like seeing a turtle on a fence post, right? Someone put it there, right? It had to have gotten there somehow. The turtle can't put itself on the fence post. So going into a movie like this, it's like being told you're going to see a lot of turtles on fence posts. And at the end, we're going to tell you how they got there.
Right.
And so you kind of walk through and you see all these turtles and you're like, okay, this is cool. That's a high one. That's interesting. But I didn't find myself wondering because I knew I'm going to get it at the end.
Yeah. So I'm always curious, is there, I don't know if I haven't asked many people this, but was there ever any revelation that you guessed ahead of time that, I knew it, or I thought that might be the case. Even, the one for me, I feel is Arnie's identity at the end. I always wonder if by the time we get there, if that's, there are just only so many characters in the movie and only, we've kind of revealed who some are.
I think I might have realized it. I don't remember exactly, but I might have realized it with Arnie, like maybe just before, but not far enough ahead for me to feel like, oh yeah, I totally nailed that.
Right.
There's also enough happening that I don't know if I was not aware of the story ahead of time, if I would think I don't know that it's a promise that the movie makes that you're going to find out the identity of these three guys from an hour ago,
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think there is anything that I actively tried to guess.
Yeah.
Other than, thinking, these aliens or these guys or what's going on. Because I know it's Halloween. It's just weird.
Yeah.
3 hooded masked guys driving in, this big Cadillac. And it's like, could be anything. But I think, again, it had a lot to do with the log line. If I hadn't known that reading it, before going in, I probably wouldn't have had that thought. Yeah, there wasn't anything that really prompted me to do it.
Well, yeah, I don't think there is a promise that we're going to find out who the 3 masked guys are. And I think the fact that Kat or Susan is fixating on it so hard throughout the whole of the movie. I mean, that's almost all she does is she fixates on this moment. And she doesn't engage in a lot of healthy behavior as far as like trying to, get closure for this.
But
she fixates on it so much that I, in fact, was like, I don't think she's going to figure out who they are. I think if she does get closure, it's going to be in a different way.
I was starting to wonder if they were actually going to be the cause. Again, because of the log line, I thought maybe the cause of her state. Like, it starts out that she's in a bad situation, but I was thinking, is this going to turn around? Are we going to have like a UFO sort of thing come down? I mean, this is the last thing she remembers and she can't remember this close encounter. You know what I mean? I think random, sometimes senseless shit. That's just how I work. But it, makes me just kind of wonder and see things that may or may not happen.
I think, Jim, that a good friend of mine watched it, and he commented, you had a similar comment, where he wondered when they were gathering Grant and Susan at the end, are they trying to create some ritual? Did these guys summon the Firefly in the first place? Like, that's a weird concept, but I think that when a movie's good like this, you can start to just entertain weird ideas like what you're trying to describe. I know when I've seen movies that I really like, I start exploring possibilities that I know sound crazy, but they feel right. So I kind of want to, yeah. So I think I get what you're trying to say.
I had a brief, flash in my head. Maybe the whole thing of this, close encounter that has very different effects on everybody. Maybe it wasn't actually a close encounter. Maybe this is what they remember from this traumatic experience of something like this. This is some sort of just silly ritualistic thing. But, in the end, it seems like a close encounter, but then as they dissect it and filter through it, maybe it'll be something else. So, there's always these wonderings. I like having these little wonderings, but I didn't get too consumed with it. One of the points of everything coming together, I think the information, there wasn't too much and it wasn't contrived. And those are the two things that I think made this whole story work. It was just boom, boom, boom. And
do you think,
go ahead.
Do you think part of that is that it doesn't have that many characters? There are not that many locations. And so there's really not that much that you would have had to sift through to keep track of things. Like
No, because we've seen like 2-character single setting things that have had all these things and not come together as good as this has. I think there were enough characters to bring very different points of view. So not just like the prom queen angel and the bad guy on the rough side of the tracks. They come to they share an experience. These are different people from, different points of the pentagram or octagon or whatever. And each was interesting in their own way. And as it came together, I just think I can't say it enough. It was just so well done that I felt like I was there watching it happen, being a part of it.
I have a question. And this is, going towards the end of the movie or at the end of the movie. So at the end of the movie, we see Del's like movie version of what goes on. And Arnie explains that he is an alien from Neptune and he did all this with his powers and stuff. And I didn't really accept that as like, this is what happened. I felt like that's what Del explained away in his little film.
Yeah. First question I had, did you understand watching that is Del? He shaved his head and beard? Or did you just not recognize that bald person in the end of the movie?
Because Chris looks really different with the shaved head.
I did not recognize him.
I'll be
Del.
honest, I did not.
Yeah. And not many people do. So that's Del. And then Joe, who is one of the two, basically Del's main actor throughout the movie is wearing the beard and mustache. So it's the same group making the same movie. But yeah, the bald movie version of Arnie is Del. That's Chris.
Wow.
Shaved his head for it and shaved his beard for it. But
well, Chris, if you ever need to do a real life The Fugitive, dude, a simple Bic razor and you can pull it off, man. No one will ever find you.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
that ending, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
That ending had a lot of, we didn't, I know I mentioned earlier, we didn't have it figured out when we started filming. So Pete and I, and then Joe and Adam probably contributed to the ideas. Like, we didn't quite know how we were going to end it. Susan has this gun. Is the gun going to come into play at some point? And Pete has this instinct, Pete, where you don't like using guns to solve conflict. Don't you have some sort of philosophy like that?
Yeah, I generally hate when guns are used in movies. Not because I'm anti-gun, just because it's usually lazy and usually something I've seen 100 times before in a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the ending evolved, and I know at one point we were going to talk about maybe Arnie he turns into the Firefly, or like a green glow envelops him and he disappears. We talked about Arnie maybe dying at the end, and we didn't like that because that was too sad. And then at some point, I'm pretty sure Pete had the idea of what if we cut to Del's movie, and it's because I kind of think that in a way it's a we chickened out. I mean, I agree with you, Danny. I don't think I think what happened is that Del didn't ask Arnie who he was, and instead he just drove away. And he wishes he had, and so his movie version is the best he can come up with.
Does Del turn around in real life? Probably not.
When it cuts back to the music and it's me with a beard and long hair, that never happens.
This is the conversation he wishes he had the courage to have with Arnie.
Well, and that was kind of the backbone of my earlier question of, did you think too many things tied in? Because one of we've kind of chatted, nobody recognizes Chris in the end. Is the ending too much of an inside joke on an inside joke? And what are people going to think that means about Del? But I like it more and more the older I get, because my takeaway is he had this profound experience, this life-changing experience that he prayed for pretty much every day of his life. And still, by the end, he kind of can't fully absorb it, and how he chooses to pass that on is he has to kind of make a schlocky, hopeful version. And so in his likable way, I don't know if he would really change, and I think that's kind of accurate.
Yeah, he still sucks as a director, but he's found some passion from this event.
And it's rooted in his
want to make another movie.
Well, yeah. And I don't know, maybe this is weird, but I kind of reasoned it in my head as maybe he put that in his movie, the whole I'm from Neptune and stuff, because perhaps that was easier for him to explain than what he really felt happened, which to me it was essentially, this is what I reasoned out in my head. I could be wrong, but I don't care, because this is how I view it. Which is that the Firefly was just sort of a force of good in the world that was trying to set things right.
Yeah. I mean, Pete and I talked about, are people going to think it's an angel and not an alien? Maybe, and that's fine. Because there is this redemptive quality to it. So.
Right. I will say, at that end bit with the little movie closing, my thought was, boy, I would like to see the rest of this little movie, because I know they're not talking about some of the heinous shit we've seen. That doesn't seem like it's stuff likely to make it into, my next movie is going to be about this experience, about me running someone down and coming back from the dead and all the horrible shit that happened and people doing things.
I don't know that Del put in his movie that he killed and buried Arnie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also like to see Del's full movie.
Yeah. I remember thinking, I don't know if this is an actual conversation or if this is just something I remember wondering about when it was being made. Do you guys think that Brant and Susan ended up dating? You know what I mean? They're the ones in the truck at the end. Because I remember thinking in the back of my mind, this is kind of how they met. That's stupid. You know what I mean? Which is,
I think they both have a lot of work to do on themselves before they consider dating anyone.
It's a good story, though.
It is.
What a meet cute.
I liked that bit because it did make me wonder. And I like things that aren't, happily ever after and finite in the ending. I like that possibility because I did think about it. But I did think, now I'm getting all real with, my imaginings, people who meet through tragedy typically don't last together because of they have different levels of PTSD. They suffer through all this stuff. But it was interesting, at the very least, of what kind of relationship would these people have? I mean, how can you go through something like this so profound and then just part ways? Like you guys just, you shared a stick of gum at a convenience market and off you went. It's not like that. It's like, God, what would that relationship be?
The movie, I mean, a lot of the relationships seem to be about intimacy that people aren't having or keeping secrets from each other, or people that maybe share something that they have to hide from everybody else but share with each other. And it's strange. Like one shot that actually for some reason gets me or gives me goosebumps, I think Adam you mentioned, is during Brant's flashback, but it's actually the shot of he's in that pumpkin suit and it's kind of bobbling and the music is swelling and they're running through these wet branches that we backlit so they look like kind of spider webs. And it's kind of it's such a sweet moment in the score. And he's got this egg-shaped outfit, and they're hustling through the woods, but they're still kind of in danger. And it feels like all this mundanity and betrayal and all that stuff ends up, there is this like mythical, pure moment. And where, our hero, our white knight, who's been kind of looking for something, I guess, worthy or simple, the whole movie kind of just gets this moment. And so yeah, I don't know.
No, I can see that.
I feel like that's one of my favorite sequences.
I used to have a picture. I can't remember the artist's name, and it's a fantasy picture. It's some frumpy, battered warrior-looking fellow covered in furs. He's all dressed in black. His horse is black. He's all dirty and stuff. He's passing by a pond. His reflection in the pond is golden, and that to me has stuck with me for my whole life as writing characters. It's not misdirecting the audience into thinking this guy's an asshole and then he shines through. I think Brant, the reality of him was he is who he is, but it's that whole expression of what came to my mind is saying, when things are at their worst is when you find out how people can be at their best. And what is worse than being in a foul mood, tearing up a bridge because, you're pissed off, you've been betrayed and all this. And then everything that you're upset about suddenly becomes nothing because now someone's screaming and you go to it and you see something way more horrible than what you went through about to happen. And what does he do? He shines. We see his true self. Sadly, not every day, allows for that kind of thing. I mean, who wants to go through every day with something so traumatic happening to bring him out? And it was more than just redemption. I don't think it was redemption of how he behaved, his immaturity and stuff. I think it was, regardless of what crap is on the outside of this onion, under those layers, there's this golden guy. Like I said in the episode, Brant's the guy you want. He might be a dick. He might be hard to put up with. But if you knew when something heavy goes down, this is how he's going to be, that's absolutely the kind of person you want. That's the kind of person who's going to save your life. And he saved Susan's life.
Well, I like to think that they become really good friends, like the purest kind of best friends, where they they have each other's backs,
Well, but he does, that's what I mean is he does establish a connection with like someone's trauma. Like he finds out that he experienced something with somebody that is the type of thing that his fiance would hide in her diary, that he's always trying to be let in or get an honest picture or be trusted. And he's never trusted. So it is kind of I guess that's why I asked. That's why maybe I always had that connection, is because she does kind of represent everything that maybe he was. It gives him the chance to be the type of man that he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
even if it's
for her, somebody who he saved her life and wanted nothing in return. We get the sense that she has gets with guys who there's always something shifty going on, and otherwise she wouldn't be single out looking. And I just got the sense that she's not had good luck. She seems, because she's kind of even more standoffish. After
I don't know. I don't think anyone with a healthy outlook on life gets in a car with three strange masked people.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah. It says something that, maybe this is what she's used to, just shifty people.
So
ultimate letdown. I don't know, but but I don't know. I think once she was able to put it all together at the end, I think they would have been very close. I don't think they would have been a romantic relationship. Seems almost kind of trite at this point. I think a more meaningful relationship is just a lifelong relationship of people who shared an experience that only they are ever going to know about and can rely on one another in moments of life where they can't get, that honesty or feedback or something from other people.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go that deep, maybe.
So I'm going to pivot.
Pivot. Where are we going?
These masks. They're super dope. I really like them. They're very cool.
Thank you.
So who made the masks?
I made them. So all of the mask drawings are mine with a couple of exceptions. And that was when we broke between fall and winter. Or maybe Pete, you remember better than I do, but like that was the main thing I was working on, was just making these paper mache masks for months, basically. And I kind of got behind. I remember there was a deadline, and I didn't have enough, in my opinion, and so I had to really crunch. But yeah, I just made a bunch of them. I've still got a lot of them. I've gifted a few of them, but
I've got a couple of them somewhere.
Yeah, you have the Arnie mask. You have the orange mask. I don't know where the purple and the green ones are, but I don't know. That was just I'm happy with them. I think I would have liked to do some more R&D in if I could do it over, because they weren't perfect in my opinion. But
we needed,
I thought it would be a neat look.
Yeah, we needed, because Chris had made these masks before the movie. He's made a lot of paper mache stuff, and so we thought that was a really cool look. And so, Chris, you kind of made the cloaks too, right?
I did, and I hate how the lining flips up out of the gray part a lot. I wish that we'd sewed them better. Well, I mean, not that people notice, but I noticed it. But yeah, I pretty much made
costumes then.
What?
They're costumes on Halloween, so that's it's kind of forgivable if they, because they look like really good costumes and not bad film costumes.
Okay.
So we shot this movie. So we shot the fall stuff in, actually most of it in November. Actually we were set to start shooting at the end of October, and then the original the actress that we had hired or agreed to play Susan quit the night before we were going to start filming. And
maybe a week before. Yeah. Was it the night or week before?
I think it was the night before, and then we rescheduled some of the shoots. That's how I remember it. But anyways, so we scrambled there for a little bit and didn't know if we were going to be able to make the movie. And then ended up asking Lindsay, who Chris knew from college, and she had been in one of our earlier movies that will never see the light of day. And she
why not?
And then she agreed to do it, and ultimately it was a great thing, because she was great for the role, and but that was a very stressful time. And then when we did start shooting, we basically in Minnesota it can snow in October, and most of the time in November it snows, so we knew we had to get everything that we possibly could done, exterior fall stuff done as quickly as possible. We ended up taking most of November, the weekends in November, to complete it. And then we were ready. All right, now we just got to wait for the snow. And that year it didn't snow until February. It was crazy in Minnesota. So then we had the problem of trying to cram in all of these winter scenes before whatever snow we got melted. And so we actually, we went crazy getting all the outdoor scenes, and didn't matter the temperature. If it's 10 below, we're still going out and filming. And then the snow did melt, and we still had a couple more scenes outside to film. And so I started thinking, okay, can I do a visual effect to add snow to the ground? I mean, that might look terrible. I don't know what we're going to do. And then we got one more snow in mid-March and got a couple of the last scenes done. And so it was all, it all worked out, and it was very stressful. But during that pause, Chris had to make, however many masks that he possibly could for the scene where she goes and visits the mask maker. And every one of those is designed and has to be built from scratch. And so he had got this picture of him with all these half finished masks strewn across the table, and he's, just busy working on them. And, he had to design them, make them, paint them. But yeah, that was a big job.
It was an interior shot, so we had more time. But yeah. Also, I wanted to mention a little bit of trivia. The girl who backed out, her name is Amy. she actually had an important contribution. We were talking about the scene where she gets abducted by Scott, and the original version I'd written was like they were in the same car, and it starts to get awkward,
right?
Because she realizes that Scott doesn't have the innocent. Anyway, she suggested, what if he punches her? She thought of that. And that, to me, is the most shocking moment of the movie. Whenever I would go to festivals,
oh my God,
I would sometimes go out and I'd talk to the festival runners. But when I knew that scene was coming up, I would sneak back into the theater just to hear the gasps from the audience, because it's by far the biggest shocker in the movie. So that was
shocking.
That was really stressful. That how she backed out like that, but she had a very important little.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the scene of the awkward car, the awkward drive out there, and the realization dawning on her that something's not right about this. And we even had ideas about the mailing list, and his name is on the mailing list. And
Okay.
Anyway, but just for her suggestion, or what if he just punches her? Yeah, it was.
I gotta say, that was, because again, when we watch movies, very seldom do we speak out to something going on the screen. But this was we were both like, Jesus. And it was so boom. We stopped there.
I like getting punch effects right. So that was a natural, we had a neck snap back, and I think I was lying, it was 20 below that night, and I was lying under where the camera was with my arms up
to catch her.
And I was catching Lindsay every time she fell. Yeah. So I remember that night. Yeah. But
she can't do a theater. She can't do a stage fall. Yeah.
No, yeah, get the boxing snap, and drill it until we got what we wanted. Yeah, that was kind of our bread and butter. So that's the moment that if that I always thought at any screening, I'd actually leave the theater, because that if somebody has not lost interest, now they're good to go. That, to me, the if they're still paying attention when Adam punches Lindsay and the music kicks up, then that's kind of the start of the big climax.
The major payoffs.
Yeah.
Pete, you said Joe did more. These are different credits than the original.
Yeah, there were a few new drawings. We had to add more to the credits, and so to keep the notepad consistent with artwork throughout, I needed a few more drawings, and so Joe did a few more. Actually, one of them's his background there behind him right now.
Nice.
So for the original end credits, we just gathered all of the artwork we had kind of been doodling and making throughout the filming of the movie, and I think Joe did most of those. Chris did a lot of them. I did a couple of them. Adam, maybe one of yours made it in there. I don't know. Anyway, we just kind of compiled everything and fit it into the end credits. I don't know. I've always enjoyed making the end credits somewhat entertaining rather than just a scroll of words. For Teddy Bogle, we had the kind of flashlight effect and some outtakes, and Firefly.
Well, it hooked us because we watched the credits all the way to the end, because we just loved I still have the folder of artwork that you guys sent for Attack of the Teddy Bogle, and we're just like, ooh,
this is cool.
It's like another little short.
It's amazing. I'd say at least 5% of the compliments the movie's received are about the credits.
Okay.
I would say over the years. So that says something. They're
good. And it just, I don't know how else to say it. It was a delight seeing those come up.
Good.
It actually gave us a feeling. One of what's become one of our favorite movies that was brought to our attention several months ago, Gentlemen Broncos.
Oh yeah, totally went under the radar.
We absolutely missed that bad boy when it came out. Knew nothing of it. And then a friend of ours on another podcast brought it up to us, so we watched it to be on his podcast to talk about it. And we're like, "Oh, this is awesome!"
It's a goof. It's a goof.
Yeah,
goof fest.
It has
Gentlemen Broncos.
Yeah,
it's made by the same crew that made Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, okay.
We love it because it's another one it's not a fast-paced movie, but there's just so many little wonderful things going on, and you feel close to the characters like we did with folks in Firefly. Is you just have that connection, like everything that's going on screen is kind of, a stitch here, a stitch there, connecting it to you.
The main character is a young writer, so it's hard not to connect with,
with Del.
Any,
well, yeah. But the ending of that has some not cut scenes, but just some artwork, and stuff that had related to the movie. But it just doing that doesn't mean it's great. But when we got to the end of Firefly, when that came up, we had that same feeling like we did in the rest of the movie. Like, it's kind of just like a warm, we know it's almost over, but here's a little bit more for you. And just kind of, I don't know, sort of take it in, sit back. And, by the time everything went black, we're just like, damn.
Surprised you remembered it, because weren't you flashed by the lights at the very end?
Well, had my glasses on. They've got extra layers of UV protection.
Blocking light.
People have tried it before. We were going to maybe talk about how, things have gone the last year, but I think let's look at, now that life is starting to somewhat resume, what's on the plate? I mean, I know you're working on things that you have done, and you're finishing those up and stuff. Is there any plan to mix all of these creative talents in a bowl and come up with another, fantastic something, some story or another, on film? What are we looking at?
Well, I'm just working on the movies that I shot. Hopefully those will be, I don't like putting a timeline on them, because every time I do, it passes, and then I feel bad about myself. And so once I finish those up, I don't have any other ideas, any other stories to get to work on at the moment. But sometimes the way it's happened for me is a story has just, for whatever reason, found its way into my head, and it kind of gets to a point where I have to tell it somehow, whether it's write a screenplay, or if I ever write a book, maybe that would be an option, or what I have done is make a movie out of it. And right now there's nothing in my head that needs to be told, where I want to put in the time necessary to write the script and do all that work. But maybe that'll change once I get these 2 movies finished and out of my head. Then maybe it'll make room for more.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if anyone else has.
Anybody else have any yearnings?
I'm 10 chapters into a book that we've kind of talked about.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't talk about that too much, but it's an idea that we all came up with. So it's something that I'm working on. But,
ooh, yeah. Good enough for us.
And Joe,
Go ahead, yes. Joe. What?
I was going to say that Joe is busy. I was going to talk about what you do, but I'll let you do that instead.
Oh, well, I'm an animator out in Los Angeles right now, so that's kind of my day job. And so I have stories and ideas that I develop, and I've storyboard them, and have plans or hopes or something for someday. But again, kind of to reconnect with Dell's struggle, I have a real, especially with animation, I have a problem with imagining what the scope should be. And because technically you can do anything, but that's its own trap, because then that just puts more work on you down the line, which can, kill a project or send it into, purgatory. So, I do, comics for myself. Mostly I have little story pitches to myself and think, yeah, nobody could ever make this now. And I don't know what I'm interested in diving into. I think it'd be fun to do some comedy shorts. We always kind of I think this is something common in movies or things that we've done, is that we've seen a lot of movies, and so we kind of rope people in with something and then don't deliver on the expectations, but in a way that is hopefully more interesting than what they were expecting. So, okay. I think we have kind of a misbehaving gene, but we never really kind of felt comfortable joking around too much or making shorts. But that's I think what it would seem like maybe people have the bandwidth for.
Okay.
Right now is maybe some shorts. I don't know. I don't know what the festival scene is like anymore. That's another thing. I don't know.
We just know that it's been virtual and it's been all kinds of stuff. And I've gotten,
a friend of ours has done pretty well in festivals this last year. But other than that, we don't.
But
know a whole
I've
lot.
gotten everything from 3-minute shorts to half-hour short films, feature films, different things, but very little information on what it's all about. Just seems like maybe they have a web page somewhere that they'll showcase stuff. We did an episode on Fried Berry, which was a movie that we didn't get a screener on because the distribution didn't allow it. So we had to track it down at a virtual festival, and Jesus Christ, was that a nightmare. Oh my God. It took me like 2 months to finally find one that worked, because I'd find it at a festival and then try to get a ticket for it. And then the website would crash, their payment system would collapse, and it was terrible. So yeah, finally got one. So I don't even know what festivals are going to be in the short term for like the rest of this year going into next. I imagine they need to get more back in person, but I think they might have discovered how lucrative virtual tickets can be, because some of these bigger ones made a killing.
We have to get their websites and payment systems working. I think they had to scramble for a lot of those. But
yeah. So I don't know, Adam, any?
I kind of gave up on movies.
Oh no.
No, I think, I shot a documentary like 10 years ago. I never finished it. I think Firefly I'm super proud to have been a part of it. It's kind of heartbreaking that it never there's still a chance, I guess. It's really gratifying to hear that people like it, like the few people who have seen it get it. I don't know. I'm a home inspector, and I have still creative hopes and dreams, but I don't know what to do with them. So I think I'll finish my documentary someday, but I'm not in any rush to, because it's already been like 10 years and I'm kind of in that spot where it's like,
well, see, you need to subscribe to our podcast and start listening to it.
Yeah.
Because that'll motivate you. I'll just tell you right now, do it, man. Do something.
Yeah.
Right tonight when we're done, write a page of absolute nonsense.
A laundry list of nonsense.
Yeah.
We already did that. It was 100 and some pages.
But I get it. I mean, it's especially with the landscape of things now, if kind of been out of it, it's kind of hard to get back in. I mean, we've pivoted. We talked about that in a previous chat with someone on how over this last year we've taken a very different look at things, and we feel good about it. And I know a lot of people have done that, and some people have just like walked away. Some people have started to dive in. Some people have just taken different slants.
Yeah.
So I know it's under normal circumstances, it's got its own thing to it. But yeah, this last year is just kind of like really laser focused, the abnormality of all of it.
Yeah. And then we've recently become very hot on this one idea that we can't say a lot about, but it's occupying most of my brain space every day.
It's going to take about 6 months of stuff before we could even like write a single word.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, I would like to see more. I would love if something came up and got you guys to at least get like on a conference call and just, pound out 4 beats of each act of some story and have that, because I know it would grow into something that we will be doing an episode on and want to talk to you about again, and just be sharing with people. I mean,
for sure,
throw it out there all the time. It's and we've mentioned Firefly plenty of times outside of Twitter and stuff, because we like to share the things that we think represent the best of the quality of creation. And Firefly is just one of those that it's just so good. I mean, Attack of the Teddy Bogle is such a fun horror. We've shared that with every horror fan, friends and family, and other people.
You know what you should watch? Attack of the Teddy Bogle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can watch that 3 times before an Avengers movie is over.
It's true.
Yes. And that just goes back to I like the no nonsense approach of that movie. I don't need to know a lot of mystical shit. I don't need 25 minutes of some ancient thing. I just love how just some people get together. We know enough about them to think, oh, I know who I want to die first, and I know who I want to root for. And then all of a sudden this guy shows up and the shit kicks off. I cannot ever convey how much I appreciate that about Attack of the Taddy Bogle. It is one of the purest, just fun horror rides. Oh man, it's great. Well, gentlemen, we have enjoyed this talk.
Where should people go to find your stuff?
Yeah.
They should go to Amazon. That's the only place it is now. Just Amazon
Just
Prime.
Amazon?
Okay.
I think Firefly is the only one on Prime. The others are available to rent or purchase.
Yeah, Teddy Bogle's not Prime
on Amazon
anymore.
Right. And that was Amazon's decision. I think they monitor and just boot stuff out. Interestingly, they booted it like a day after Firefly was uploaded, so I don't know what that's about. Maybe they have a 1 movie limit for
maybe
companies. I don't know. But that's where you can rent and purchase them or watch Firefly. You can stream it.
You should check out Tubi.
Yeah, if you have not tried putting stuff on
Tubi. We just spoke with Hilton Ariel Ruiz, who did Zombie with a Shotgun. It's been on Amazon forever, and it just recently got on Tubi. And because we asked him,
says that Tubi is very good to their artists, a lot better than Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it was a possibility, but yeah, I should look into that.
Oh man, Tubi is just stupid with indie film.
Yeah, chock full of it.
85% of it is just straight indie film, especially in the horror. We love it. So yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah,
they're all into it.
But until then, go to Amazon Prime to watch Firefly.
Yeah. And then we'll just keep watching for stuff.
Yeah.
And good luck with all the things that you guys are doing. And I hope that
I hope we get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah. And these coming months are as uplifting for everybody as we hope that it's going to be. And yeah, we want to talk soon because we're gonna dig for some other stuff.
Well, thank you. It was great to be back on the show, and good luck to what you're working on as well. Hope that you can do something with your idea that you can't tell us about, and hopefully, something in the future will be worthy of your attention again.
Absolutely. All right, listeners.
Guys.
We're going to leave it there and
catch you later. So that was Failureboys Productions. Wonderful guys. So much fun to talk to.
I know. I've missed talking to them.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, the last time we talked to them was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is just wild.
God, that's how we're going to gauge things now.
I mean, it's been a significant event,
Well, yeah.
I think the moment it happened, everything was. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but
no.
Well,
yeah. Attack of the Taddy Bogle and Firefly are worth seeing.
Absolutely.
All of them have this signature style that I hope something comes up that is so kabam that it brings them together to push something up. Plus, I want to see what Pete's working on.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of lessons in there. Not every long journey is going to keep you busy. Right.
Right.
I mean, they did these things. It's been quite a while, and they all have jobs. Well, Pete gave up and went to dove into the filmmaking, left his career, and has been doing stuff. But it's a long process when you're an indie filmmaker.
Well, I am looking forward to the rom-com that they briefly mentioned.
Yeah,
in there, I want to see that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll catch on with Tubi,
or
not catch on, but catch up with someone there and get some stuff on there.
Yeah, get their stuff on Tubi. Get a little more, love from the streaming service.
Yeah.
I will say we did talk with them quite a lot more.
We did. Not only quite a lot more for this interview, but also after the interview.
Yeah.
And I, for the sake of time, because we're coming up on 2 hours here, I had to cut some stuff and cut a big chunk towards the end out.
Right.
That is going to be available for patrons.
As a bonus episode.
So
a patrons only episode.
Unheard stuff. And it's more good stuff.
It is.
There's only so much we can fit on the server without paying exorbitant fees.
Yeah.
I mean, what we pay for is usually pretty good. But, occasionally we get these super long.
Every now and then.
David and Liam, it was 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Fabulous. Fabulous fellas.
Yeah. But, we got to have some stuff for the patrons. So, things like that, it's like bonus content. Go to Patreon and check us out.
Yeah. Maybe become a patron, get access to that bonus episode.
Yeah. How do you get there?
Go to our website.
www.lordsofmisrulproductions.com. Nice.
You can find everything there. All the links, all the stuff.
All the links, all the stuff to all the things.
Yeah.
Do them. It's all pretty much right there. The only thing that's not written on there is please give us a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. It's extremely helpful and it's necessary to, make it so people can find us.
Yeah.
Other people like you who want to, out there like, man, if there was only something I could listen to.
Yeah.
Well, sir.
Yeah.
Or madam. Here it is.
And we've got all kinds of stuff for you. We've got a blog and a merch store and episodes on everywhere and
social media links,
and email addresses and
find people who support or not support but follow us and people that we follow. Pay attention to that. All good choices. The creatives, the podcasters, filmmakers, artists, actors, musicians, all kinds of things going on. More stuff for you to listen to and follow.
Huge thank you to the Failureboys for coming out and talking to us for so long.
I know. Oh my God. And it was just wonderful. These guys are just rock solid.
It
rock solid. And
fills my cup.
It. Yep. Every bit, every time. And I want to do more, might even just say, you know what? Not even do an episode. Let's just all fucking get on.
Let's just shoot the shit. Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Failureboys Productions. A lot of good lessons there. Like I said, not everything is bam, 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 bam. Things can get spread out. But you know what? The goal, folks, is to keep going. Just keep going. Keep creating. That's what I'm going to say. So, with that, until next week.
This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
Bye for now.